Hello everyone, Forest the Ivored Engine here, and we're back with another Unlucky Tug reaction. Today, oh boy, I hope Leah doesn't freak out. Oh, let's be real, she probably will. We're going to be reacting to a video on Diesel 10. Yes, really. So, yeah, this is the third installment in the, in Unlucky Tugs' sidetracked, videos, so I'm curious to know what he's got planned for Diesel 10. So, with that said, let's get into the video.
I can do whatever I want. I'll get him, too, with Pinchy. Ow, Pinchy! I hate it when you do that.
Diesel 10 just may be Thomas and Friends' most famous bad guy. The ultimate bad diesel who hates steam engines. Described as a heavy metal monster, 10 out of 10 for devious deeds and brutal strength. The embodiment of hate and jealousy. The one character that is unequivocally, indisputably a villain. The unapologetically evil diesel beast with a hydraulic claw on his roof that he affectionately calls Pinchy.
Shut up, Pinchy.
He's as terrifying as much as he is ridiculous, and manages to steal the show whenever he's on screen. Which isn't as often as you would think.
No.
Diesel 10 has all...
Like, okay, if you guys haven't watched the video of me and the Ginger Engine, talking about, like, all the engines in, like, which era is best for them, I pointed out that Diesel 10 only has 5 episodes, and Pinchy has 6. That's how little he's shown up in the entire franchise of the show.
Always fascinated me, and with having just rewatched Day of the Diesels, the Christmas episode with him, and all of this Magic Railroad production stuff coming out, now seems like a great time to dissect this character a bit. Because why not, right? Everyone loves Diesel 10.
I know that's gonna ruin my facial.
So, like always, we will discuss his history in the series, his real-life basis, why he was sidetracked, and then come up with a headcanon for him. Let's dive in.
Clever.
Diesel 10 made his big debut in the 2000 film Thomas and the Magic Railroad as the movie's main villain.
Yep.
And he made quite an entrance.
Get out of my way! I have unfinished business here, and I want to finish it fast!
Now this movie is very controversial. Some people love it, some people hate it.
It is, for me, it is my 5th favorite movie. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
I personally find myself somewhere in the middle. But I think most people agree that Diesel 10 is the best thing to come out of this. Cause he absolutely carries this thing, and has such a magnetic screen presence. Diesel 10 has apparently been to Sodor before, in which he tried to hunt down the magical engine, Lady. He returns again here to finish the job. Destroy her once and for all. For with her gone, that would end life for the steam engines.
I'm gonna destroy her and dominate you, and then you'll be nothing but useless scrap.
He tries to get information out of Mr. Conductor on Lady's whereabouts, taking some pretty drastic measures to do so.
Oh yeah.
He enlists the help of his 2 bumbling cronies, Splatter and Dodge, who seek out the magic buffers that will lead to where Lady is hidden. When Lady is revealed, Diesel 10 chases her down, and things don't end well for him.
No.
The villain defeated, and away he floated, presumably to never be seen again. The movie went through a slew of production troubles, and its plot was changed substantially over time. Diesel 10's role in the film was quite different in the script that was shot, and even more so in the original script, being the secondary villain. The main villain was actually a man called P.T. Boomer. Boomer had a history with Lady's caretaker, Burnett Stone, played by Peter Fonda. It was actually him who crashed Lady all those years ago, and he returned to find her and sell off her parts for scrap. Diesel 10, meanwhile, was just a new Diesel on Sodor, brought to help out while Sir Topham was away. Diesel 10 believes steam engines needed to be rid of, so he did what he could to make their lives difficult. And over the course of the movie, he found out about Lady, and that her destruction would give him exactly what he desired: eradication of the steamies once and for all. He now had a new goal: find the magic buffers that led to her. He then tried to get information out of Mr. Conductor and the others. The two villains came together in the movie's climax during the chase scene, and both were disposed of. Diesel 10 fell off the viaduct onto a barge, and PT in the sludge. Test audiences did not respond well to PT Boomer, and Britt Allcroft was advised by an executive that he was too scary for children.
Which is kinda funny, cause Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure has a human as the villain, and it worked. So, fuck you, American test audiences. Fuck you.
Many edits of the film were made that eventually ended up with removing the character entirely from the film, which as a result made Diesel 10 the sole villain, reworking his motives. This was a move which I think was both smart and unfortunate. Smart because it helped simplify what was a pretty confusing story and made it easier to follow. Diesel 10, having a history with Sodor and Lady, married both the Train and Burnett Stone human plots so much better. Everyone has a common enemy. But it was unfortunate because it changed Diesel 10's history with the other characters. Now he's no longer a new Diesel. Now he's someone who's returned to Sodor that the others are all familiar with to finish a job that he failed to do before. It doesn't really make much sense timeline-wise. How can Diesel 10 be a modern Diesel, but also have been on Sodor years ago? Where has he been all this time? Why did he leave Sodor? Does he predate Diesel himself? How does this work? It's also changed, so he and Burnett have the conflicted history now, done with the magic of ADR.
So he took revenge. He found Lady and threatened to destroy her if I didn't let him drive her. Long ago, I made a mistake as Lady's caretaker. An evil Diesel found Lady and threatened to destroy her.
Now I'll get you, Burnett Stone. Yes.
No, you won't, Boomer. Because the magic you refuse to believe in will get the better of you.
Now I'll get you, Burnett Stone.
No, you won't. Because the magic you refuse to believe in will get the better of you.
Yet these two never share a scene together. There are apparently many different edits of the film. Versions where PT is in it, but Diesel 10 has come to Sodor to destroy Lady. A version where Diesel 10 apparently hires PT to seek out Lady at Shining Time?
What?
Winkletoes said I wouldn't find the lost engine here, so maybe she's there at his Shining Time. I know who I can send there.
Diesel had remembered PT.
It gets pretty crazy. Diesel 10 ran through so many voice actors. His first was Australian actor Keith Scott. He based his performance...
Oh my god, that's right, Keith Scott. Oh, shoot, what was... He's been in something that I've watched. What was it? Hang on. Cut to when I find that out. Apparently not.
on The Big Bad Wolf from the Three Little Pigs.
You're not wanted here!
Oh, yes, I am.
Let me make myself quite clear. Losing your sparkle, eh? What perfect timing.
Though he was deemed too frightening with test audiences, so he was replaced. In stepped Joe Mateson, who was going to be the final voice. Recent posts from the Magic Railroad's Director's Cut group reveal his performance.
Hello, Twinkle Toes. I've got a plan, and you're not
He actually does sound really good.
losing your sparkle, eh? What perfect timing.
And boy, oh boy, is he awesome. I love that evil laugh. I can't wait to hear his full performance in the Director's Cut. But, same as Scott, Mateson didn't test well and was replaced. Now around this time, it was thought the movie needed more humor. So Canadian voice actor Neil Crone was brought in to help punch up the script and add some funnier dialogue. he eventually took on the role of Diesel 10. And in this next version, he gave him a very cartoony Russian accent.
Hello, Twinkle Toes. I've got a plan, and you're not in it. Losing your sparkle, eh? With perfect timing.
Oh my god.
That's...
According to Crone himself, executives feared making the villain a Russian would be viewed as politically incorrect, so they opted to change it again. The final voice that Crone landed on for Diesel 10 was a sort of New Jersey type of accent.
Hello, Twinkle Toes. I got a plan, and you're not in it. Losing your sparkle, huh? What perfect timing.
Which I think was a pretty good middle ground. This
Yeah.
take showed that Diesel 10 could be a funny villain,
Pinchy, get back here. Pinchy, don't make me come up here. I hate it when you do this.
but also quite threatening when he needed to be.
Hello, Twinkle Toes. Remember me?
He rode that line pretty dang perfectly.
He really did.
Him calling his claw Pinchy, as if it's like his pet, was entirely ad-libbed by Crone.
Say hello to Pinchy.
Magic Railroad is definitely my favorite portrayal of Diesel 10. I love how much of an unapologetic, unhinged psychopath he is here. There's been no villain character in the series like him before this, nor after.
No.
Following his demise, we all
Well, Sailor John.
assumed that we'd seen the last of him. Except we didn't. Diesel 10 inexplicably reappeared 5 years later in the special Calling All Engines. Now by this point, Thomas & Friends was owned by Hit Entertainment, and the show had been taken in a very different direction to what came before. Diesel 10 couldn't be a crazed psycho that threatens to kill people for information in the Hit era. Since Magic Railroad is in its own bubble separate from the show, I have no idea how to explain Diesel 10 existing in the regular canon. And the show didn't really seem to know how to either, so it just didn't. Diesel 10 just exists as an engine on Sodor now, and the engines are all still quite afraid of him.
Let's come back when Diesel 10's not here. And they raced away.
Funnily enough, this movie had the most realistic portrayal of Diesel 10 as a sort of maintenance of way machine. His job appears to be that he uses his claw to load wagons with scrap metal and debris. At least the claw has a purpose here.
Yeah.
This take on Diesel 10 is quite different from before. He seems to just totally stay out of the steam diesel drama, and prefers to be left alone in peace. So much so that he tries to shoo Thomas away when he approaches him.
Excuse me,
What do you want?
snapped Diesel 10.
Thomas convinces him to help them clear debris at the airport, and a rather uncharacteristically gleeful Diesel 10 gets to work. God, Diesel 10 should never smile like that. It feels so wrong. And aside from a brief background cameo in The Great Discovery, that's it for Diesel 10 in the model series. A villain seemingly redeemed? Sort of, I guess? Nah, screw that. No one likes nice Diesel 10. Diesel 10 returned again 5 more years later in the post-credits scene of Misty Island Rescue, in full CGI this time. This scene revealed that he's back to having malicious intentions again, and is scheming up a plan to get revenge on the steam engines.
You'll be laughing on the other side of your boilers soon, silly steamers.
This was a teaser for the next special, Day of the Diesels. He was originally voiced here by Rupert Degas.
You'll be laughing on the other side of your boilers soon, silly steamies.
But his performance was deemed too scary and theatrical for kids.
Which is the entire point of Diesel 10.
Noticing a pattern here. And so he was replaced with Matt Wilkinson
Oh, Jesus.
for the final dub.
That's...
Day of the Diesels put Diesel 10 back in the spotlight as the main villain again, with an all-new portrayal. We're now on our third interpretation of this character. Now Diesel 10 is a scheming, snake-like, calculated type of villain, with a slimy voice to match.
Take care of Percy's parcel for him. You know what to do.
He is the king of the dilapidated diesel works, and hides in the shadows there, away from the steam engines. The Diesels all feel neglected in favor of the steam engines, so Diesel 10 schemes up a plan to take over their steamworks.
Yep.
He manipulates Percy into thinking he's their ally, only to reveal his true colors once Percy's role in the scheme was complete.
No, don't. And we won't. Out of my way, you silly Stevie.
This movie also reveals that Diesel 10 is officially owned by Sir Topham, and even he cowers in fear when Topham berates him. Diesel 10's plan in this movie doesn't make much sense to me. If the Diesels wanted a new works so they could repair themselves, why play around and make a jungle gym of the Steamworks?
Yeah.
It's never explained.
Everything is fine up until they get to the Steamworks, which they should have just... yeah.
It comes off like they really wanted that visual of Diesel 10 spinning on the turntable and wrote the entire movie around that. Diesel 10 had one more appearance in full CGI, and that was in the season 17 episode, The Missing Christmas Decorations. His first ever and only appearance in a normal episode. The plot of this is actually quite similar to Day of the Diesels.
Yeah.
The Diesels feel neglected when the steam engines are giving Christmas decorations for their shed, and they get nothing.
The Steamies have a lot more decorations than we do.
So, the slimy Diesel 10 decides to take matters into his own hands. He steals the Steamies' decorations for himself, unbeknownst to the others. Percy catches him in the act, though, and all the engines chase Diesel 10 down to get their garland back? They all dropped everything just to get some garland? Really? It's revealed that...
It is just as dumb as the climax for Day of the Diesels.
Topham did send decorations to the Diesel Works. It just arrived late, and the Diesels feel guilty. Following Percy's kind act of getting Sydney new wheels so he can operate again, the Diesels decide that one good turn deserves another. And in a rare moment of kindness from them, they make it up to the Steamies by donating all their decorations to replace the ones that they stole.
It's very clear that I didn't fully watch the episode. So, yeah.
This episode hits all the same beats as Day of the Diesels, yet managed to do it all in 9 minutes, and I think it managed the conflict better. They don't all resolve by Topham stepping in and demanding order. No,
that is
they
true.
come to it on their own. The Diesels are the ones that make things right, and it really feels after this that the repetitive, steamy Diesel conflict was finally put to rest.
Well,
and that marks the final appearance of Diesel 10. So, what happened? It's been nearly 13 years since we last saw the character. There was nothing...
No, I'm sorry, what? Holy shit. It's been 13 years since we last saw Diesel 10 himself. But then the last time we saw Pinchy was... I don't know, like 7 or 8 years ago?
Really stopping them from putting him in other episodes or specials. Considering he's so popular and his merchandise sells well, why has it been so long? Why did Diesel 10 get sidetracked? Now, I've always been under the impression that Diesel 10's sparse usage came down to copyright regarding the owners of Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Technically, he is a movie character, not a show one. But apparently Mattel fully owns the rights to the characters, so that's likely not a factor here. Here's my current assessment. Diesel 10 is really only useful for stories that involve a major Steamy versus Diesel conflict. He is the ultimate bad Diesel after all. He fits right into plots where the Diesels ploy. But that conflict admittedly got pretty tired and overdone. They did 2 whole specials that focused on it. How many times can they really do the same thing again and again? Since that last episode though, the show seemed to finally progress and move away from that conflict. And any conflict since then that has involved the Diesels usually revolves around the character of Diesel himself, because he's a prick that never learns. My friend Kevin put it best in our Christmas watch-along. We've learned this lesson 1,000 times.
To be fair, though, does it ever happen again after this, really?
I don't remember. That's a good question. I don't actually know.
I don't think it was intentional, but, like, they put a bookend in it, and it seems the only one they ever deal with after this is Diesel himself, because he's a prick.
Yeah, I think you're right. They never really explored other sides to Diesel 10, beyond the Steam Diesel conflict. And to be fair, they didn't really need to. Sometimes it's fine to just have a one-note villain. Diesel already fulfills the role as the complex bad guy. So Diesel 10 can just be unapologetically evil. But a character like him doesn't really slip well into the normal slice-of-life episodes of the show.
Especially when you have a giant fucking claw on top. Like, again, like, Unlucky Tug just pointed it out. The most realistic usage of Diesel 10 was in Calling All Engines. So it's like, I mean, you could have made a story about that, where, like, Diesel 10 is, like, working on, like, is being, like, a scrap collecting engine. That would have actually been a really interesting episode.
Like, imagine watching, I don't know, Thomas and the Emergency Cable or something, and Diesel 10 is just there at Knapford pulling through with a goods train. It'd be so weird, and he'd stick out like a sore thumb. By his nature and his design, Diesel 10 just can't be a normal engine pulling normal trains.
Not really.
He's a special character, and unless they have a story that specifically calls for his involvement, it's probably best just to not use him. It's quite interesting how Diesel 10's character changed in every era he appeared in, basically retconning each previous iteration. He was basically just an aura, and took on whatever personality that the writers of the show at the time decided worked best for him. From an insane, evil psychopath, to a blue-collar loner who keeps out of it, to a manipulative, Sideshow Bob-esque deviant that schemes in the shadows. Let's talk character design. Diesel 10 is a British Railways Class 42 diesel hydraulic, also known as the Warship class, but he wasn't always envisioned as one. As early concept art shows, he went through quite a few different designs. One piece depicts him as what looks like an American F unit. Imagine one of these with a claw on it. But
No, I can't see
eventually
it.
they did land on the Class 42. His initial design showed that he had the ability to conceal his claw within him, as something he could just whip out when he meant business. But this was changed during production, as it wasn't practical for the model makers to build.
And
so, the claw was changed to lay atop him when not in use. The original concealed design did carry over into the book tie-in Diesel 10 Means Trouble, which clearly shows Diesel 10 without the claw on him, and then it emerging from within him and hitting him on the head.
I don't think he meant to do that, Splatter and Dodge said to each other.
The Class 42s were first built in 1958 in Swindon. The western region of British Railways wanted a
So he's a Great Western engine.
mainline diesel hydraulic to replace the aging King and Castle class steam engines. The design was based on the German DB class V200. It was essentially a scaled-down version of that for the British loading gauge with minimal changes. The designs are quite unique for their bulbous rounded ends, very sleek and against the norm for the time. All members of the class were named, and most were named after Royal Navy vessels, hence their nicknames, warships.
The warships, yeah, that makes
38
sense.
of them were built at Swindon, and an additional 33 were built at the North British Locomotive Works.
Sorry, hang on.
Hence their nicknames, warships. 38 of them were built at Swindon, and an additional 33 were built.
So 71 total.
At the North British Locomotive Works. These ones differed slightly with a different prime mover, and so they were classified as the Class 43. So there were 71 warships in total. Not too bad for a rather short-lived class. And
so Diesel's one of those first 33 from
short-lived they were, for the warships started seeing withdrawals only about 10 years later, when British Railways decided to standardize their diesel fleets with diesel electrics.
Ooh. Sodor Island models, you got your work cut out for
rather
you.
than diesel hydraulics. The warships were viewed as non-standard, and this, among other minor design issues, led to the first withdrawals occurring in 1968. Number D821 Greyhound was purchased.
So, okay, 1968. So the movie would have had to have taken place from like mid 60s to 68. So in essence, Diesel 10 would have had to have shown up sometime in like season 3 by that logic.
For preservation in 1971 by the Diesel Traction Group, the first ever preserved mainline diesel, and now runs on the Severn Valley Railway. A second, D832 Onslaught, was preserved later and lives at the East Lancashire Railway. Both are currently in working order. As far as big diesels go, I think the warship was a great choice for Diesel 10.
It was,
It's
yeah.
rather stylized from the more uniform big diesels like the Class 40s, 37s, etc., with its rounded bulbous ends and all. It makes sense that they wanted a big diesel for this character, as the big bad Diesel 10 had to have a threatening presence, and they weren't going to get that from a shunter type or something. The warships were also quite fast, topping out at 90 miles per hour, suiting for a character who participates in a major climactic chase sequence. I have also always suspected that the nickname Warship may have also played a part in why it was chosen. Warship makes you think of war, battles, terror.
Yeah.
Pretty fitting for a villain who essentially wants to start a war with the steam engines. Diesel 10 is one of the most unrealistic characters of the whole series. Coming up with a headcanon to work the diesel with the hydraulic claw in its roof, with no consistent personality, into the lore, is going to be a bit of a challenge. But considering everything we know about him is pretty much a total mystery, it leaves quite a bit of room for interpretation. After doing some research, this is what I've cooked up. Number D818, Glory, is known as the warship that got away in real life. The diesel was withdrawn in 1972 and was held as a static pet at Swindon Works, standing outside it almost like a guard logo. Swindon Works closed its doors in 1985, and Glory, being in poor condition, was sadly cut up that same year before closure.
Oh.
Efforts to preserve it just weren't quick enough. However, in this timeline, it was saved. A preservation group in Crovan's Gate on Sodor caught word of Swindon's closing and bought Glory. Glory was moved to Sodor and sat in a siding at Crovan's Gate, waiting for his turn at the works. He was mechanically wrecked. The society underestimated how much work had to be done to make him move again. The working engines all took priority, so for a number of years, Glory watched the old steamies brought into the works and cared for, while he sat on his siding and fumed to himself, growing a jealous disdain for steam engines. Sodor, geographically, is placed right between two large iron deposits in real life. Being so naturally iron-rich, at some point an ironworks opened, north of Vickerstown. The real-life Barrow Steel Company across the channel closed its ironworks in 1963, continuing its steel production until 1983. Once it finally closed shop, the Sodor Ironworks sought to expand. By the 90s, their major expansion project began to take shape. Their two current diesels, a pair of Class 08s called Ari and Bert, weren't enough for the work needed, so the works brought in two more. They expressed interest in a larger loco that they could retrofit for mobile work around the area. They made an offer on Old Glory. To them, using an old diesel to make mods to made way more sense than buying a brand new one. The preservation group cut their losses and sold Glory. The Ironworks men nicknamed Glory 10 as a joke, joking that they got him cheap enough for a tenner. Eventually, Glory was known around the Ironworks as 10. Now 10 is a dual-engined locomotive. The Ironworks gave him a single new engine, which did lower his horsepower, though powerful enough to move himself around and shunt the occasional few wagons. He doesn't pull trains, which is consistent with the show. He's never pulled anything. The
Yeah.
spare room inside him was filled with hydraulics for a large claw fitted atop of him to be used to pick up scrap metal and load into wagons. This fixture limited his route availability, meaning he can't often travel to the more western parts of the island where the steam engines are. Old Glory, becoming 10, the diesel with the claw, became somewhat of a local legend to the steam engines, for not many of them had ever really witnessed him since his transformation. There were a few sparse run-ins, such as when James and Percy were sent to the ironworks with goods trains on separate occasions, but for the most part, the steam engines keep their distance. 10 openly detests the steam engines for how well looked after they all were during his period of neglect. We could also speculate that the preservation group just giving him up for cheap also contributed to his immense jealousy. Something definitely changed in him. Ari and Bert keep to themselves at the ironworks these days, but they have their theories.
They changed him, they say. He was a decent bloke when he arrived, but ever since they put that new engine in him, he's been different. And with that claw, he's insufferable. Thinks he's king of these parts, he does.
The other two Diesels, Splatter and Dodge, are too dumb to know better, and are the only ones to really give 10 any attention. While going about his work, 10 often thinks about how he would end the steam engines and take over the railway if he could. Thankfully, he'll never get the chance, and no one ever takes him seriously. Other than Splatter and Dodge, who humor his delusions, because they simply don't know better. And of course his Claw, who he talks to when he works. He's affectionately called it Pinchy. It's not exactly the most realistic take in the world, but I'm pretty happy with what I've cooked up for...
Yeah, it's not that bad. Like, yeah, kinks here and there, but overall, it's alright.
Diesel 10. Tying him to the actual warships makes his story sort of a fall from grace, if you will. Once a glorified express diesel was eventually neglected and ended up as a blue-collar worker who's gone a bit crazy that everyone keeps their distance from. All the more thematically satisfying, knowing his original name was Glory. A big part of my love for this franchise is how rooted in and reflective of real-world history all of it is. And Diesel 10 is just a giant middle finger to all of that.
Yep.
And yet, I f***ing love him. This unapologetically evil, ridiculous, psychopath villain train with a claw. He is such a contrast to everything in the series. I mean, really, is there anyone who tops him? I mean, Belle is probably the closest thing? The steam engine with water cannons fitted to her? I truly don't think that we've seen the last of Diesel 10.
Again, a water tender for her would have been the smartest decision ever.
He's just too iconic to never use again. It has been about 13 years since we last saw him, but I would not be surprised if he popped up in the upcoming show in a special or something. And with how stacked the cast of the new show apparently is, I would not be surprised if Diesel 10 did return. I mean, f***ing Scruffy is apparently going to be in this. Anything is possible at this point.
Yeah.
Any excuse to make more Diesel 10 merch, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, like, Diesel 10 really is an interesting enigma, for the show. But at the same time, he's just so cool. Like, I'd definitely say out of, like, his 4, like, quote-unquote big roles, I'd definitely say his weakest is missing Christmas decorations. Because, like, it's literally just... It's literally just Day of the Diesel, just done in, like, 9 minutes. So it's, like... It's fine, but... It just doesn't fit for Diesel, if you know what I mean. So, but, yeah, no, like, I'd be very interested to see a video... like a fan episode of like Diesel 10 being used in a realistic way, much like Calling All Engines. So it's like, yeah, he's such an interesting character. So with that said, I shall see you all in another video. Later.